Fuck it. No intro.
Police just arrived at an airport parking lot to investigate reports of an abandoned truck. Initially, it seemed like just another routine call with nothing unusual, but that's when it hit them.
Kind of smells.
I think it smells like detox. I smell something.
Inside the truck lay 4 brutalized and dismembered bodies hidden inside boxes. What officers didn't know at the time is that 11 more bodies lay buried and hidden in remote areas of the state. An active, twisted serial killer was on the loose, and detectives were already months
Y'all niggas be killing me.
Remember the last time you saw him? Maybe a couple of months ago.
We don't care about anything else other than finding Matt, Jennifer, and Justin. Whoever did that is our focus.
I tied everything together yesterday when he did that. You know what I mean? Like, I know he lost them 3, man. I know he did.
Taking these other 11, did you take them all to the same place? If you ever came back out to New Mexico, would you be willing to take us?
They found the serial killer.
It started on a Sunday afternoon when police in Grants, New Mexico received a mysterious call. A landlord had just discovered something he described as disturbing while cleaning out an evicted tenant's home. Officers immediately headed to the address to investigate.
So this guy hasn't paid us since July, but with COVID going on, we couldn't evict him, so we've had nothing but problems with him. Anyways, we finally got him to move out, so I seen him today. We haven't come by, we haven't messed with him. I'm afraid I'm gonna kick his ass, you know. When I came by, he says, I'm gonna leave you a pile to throw. Well, we didn't know which pile, so we started to load it up. While we were moving some things, and we found this puppy in this box underneath some of the kid stuff, you know. Okay. So we go to put the puppy in the bag because we were going to bury it, and then we see that they had tied a cord on its neck.
Okay.
Well, we've had, like I said, nothing but problems with these guys, so I at least want to put a report on file. I know we won't be able to say who did it and when, but that needs to be associated with him, you know, because we're going to take him to court for a lot of other things, and if I can just have that on file, it'll help.
Okay.
It was clear the puppy had suffered a horrific death. Animal control arrived shortly afterwards and confirmed it had been deliberately tortured, noting a cord tied tightly around its neck.
What the puppy do? Cops discover car filled with serial killer victims. And they gonna say this nigga hungry, right? What you nigga order food for, nigga?
Cruelty of the scene was deeply unsettling, and the officer immediately recognized
Ain't I
they were
ordered 2 of
dealing
them.
with
Fuck you
someone
talking about?
truly twisted.
Yeah, that was just straight up.
Absolutely.
That's just sad. That right there just really got to me, because it's like, that's not cool at all.
No. Absolutely. Cruel, awful people.
Yeah, we tried to get in, the landlord, the owner, he tried to go into the house. They went in, they painted everything their own colors, and they just ruined everything.
Unfortunately for investigators, the puppy was just the first body. And in the coming days, police would uncover more gruesome scenes, strange disappearances, and disturbing evidence pointing to something far more calculated than anyone expected. That same day, Detective Robert Turney was assigned a missing persons case involving 19-year-old Matthew Miller. Matthew's grandmother had called 911 a couple of days earlier, worried because she hadn't seen or heard from him in nearly a week. It turned out police were already familiar with Matthew and knew he had previously struggled with substance abuse, so initially they assumed his disappearance was drug-related. Maybe he overdosed somewhere. But Matthew's family
Maybe he was in a crack house just getting high. Who knows?
insisted something was different this time and urgently requested to speak with detectives. Trusting their instincts, Detective Turney decided to visit Matthew's grandmother, where he would discover some unsettling new possibilities.
You know, so it's a small town.
So you guys can help me out by just calling around to hospitals, clinics, rehabilitation places, other county jails, and just see if he's there. So prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Okay. But I will tell you, I had more than enough to arrest Matthew several times, and he's not one of those people that I wanted to arrest. You know, Matthew is not going to pull a gun on anybody, right? To get his drugs.
Yeah. No.
He's not that kind of person.
Yes. That's my main fear.
And he probably has a little bit of a complex because he knows he's that kind of person. And so he's going to be real hesitant to reach out and tell you guys the actual truth about this person took advantage of me.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't.
You know what I'm saying? So just forgive him. All you can do is tell him you love him and you forgive him and go from there.
After rehashing some information with Matthew's family, Detective Turney would go on to learn some critical details. Matthew's girlfriend told the family she saw him getting into a vehicle with several other people, including a blonde woman named Jennifer Lannon, someone Matthew had recently been spending time with. He also learned that Matthew often spent time with a close friend named Justin Mata.
Matthew's a cheater. That's crazy.
And his girlfriend, Leonie Calzada. All three were known to use drugs together. Acting quickly on these promising new leads, police began searching locations Matthew was known to frequent. And soon enough, they located Matthew's Chevy Colorado truck parked and seemingly abandoned within a few blocks away from Leonie and Justin's residence. The truck was dirty, locked, and appeared to have been parked there for several days. Inside, detectives found clothing and personal belongings, as well as several unsettling items including a pair of rubber gloves and a shovel lying in the truck's bed. They also found multiple cell phones that were damaged in the front and back seats. It seemed clear Matthew hadn't intended to leave the truck there, and detectives sensed something wasn't right. Immediately, investigators canvassed the area and found surveillance cameras nearby, one of which captured Matthew's truck arriving at Leonie and Justin's address on January 26th, just 3 days before Matthew was reported missing. With these new alarming discoveries, Detective Turney knew the next logical step was to urgently speak with Matthew's friends, Justin Mata and Leonie Calzada, hoping they could shed some light on the situation. However, when they arrived at the couple's residence, they would quickly realize Matthew wasn't the only one missing.
No, just you? You sure? Okay, you okay if I come in? Hey, guy. My name's Robert.
He's gone.
You gone?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. Okay.
This is Leonie Calzada, the girlfriend of Matthew's close friend, Justin Mata, and someone detectives suspected might know exactly what happened to Matthew.
This is very, very important. We're looking for Matthew Miller. He's been missing for over 2 weeks. When was the last time he was here?
Maybe a year ago, maybe?
A year ago.
When I first got this place, yeah. When I first got it, last January.
He hasn't been here since then.
Like, I know it very well.
What if I got video of his vehicle?
Maybe Justin had him here, man. When I've had him myself.
Okay. When was the last time you saw him here?
When he was in his, once to bring him over, I first got this place.
A year ago? You think Justin
She lying already. I don't like her.
would have,
He would have, yeah, probably.
when you weren't here?
I wouldn't hear or intention, yeah. Because they said all that, yeah. But he left on 17th and came back. And then
17th, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, and then I went to go talk to the guy in Kingdom. He's like, yeah, they left each other. They left during the night and they're in Arizona.
Do you have any kind of way to contact Justin? You have a phone number?
No, he left him, him took off.
What's his phone number? Email,
He took
Facebook?
He took my phone, it's not working. Took my phone, yeah. Took a wife.
When's the last time you had any kind of communication with
That's
Justin?
when he said, go buy Coke. So I'm gonna go buy Coke.
What I would like to do, all right, is look around your house for any kind of evidence of Matthew Miller or any kind of foul play. I'm not looking for anything other than that.
According to Leonie, her boyfriend, Justin, had also mysteriously vanished, and she hadn't seen him since January 17th, nearly 2 weeks before Matthew was even reported missing. But investigators knew something wasn't adding up when Leonie insisted she hadn't seen Matthew in nearly a year. Surveillance footage clearly showed Matthew's truck outside her residence just days before he disappeared. With their suspicion mounting, detectives decided to search Leonie's home, hoping to uncover whether she might be hiding something. Or someone.
Did you notice anything strange that happened around here? Did you notice anything different around here? Or, like signs of any kind of blood? Needles?
Crack pipes.
What about needles or fentanyl pills or anything like that?
That's what he's using. I'm not sure though. Not pretty sure, but that's what the light stuff.
Yeah. What's the gas? There's already. Okay, thank God. I can only find one person dead in a trunk per year. That's my max.
Despite their best efforts, investigators found no signs of foul play or violence. Still, Detective Turney couldn't shake the feeling that something was overlooked, so he returned to speak briefly with Leonie, unaware she'd drop a crucial clue.
Who?
The 17th. She's just in Mecca with
Arizona.
Yeah, with Jen Cannon.
As of the 17th of
January. He left us in his life.
Leonie revealed that Justin had recently taken off with another woman named Jennifer, supposedly heading to Arizona to re-up on drugs and make some money. With this new detail, Detective Turney now found himself investigating the disappearances of 3 different people: Matthew Miller, Justin Mata, and now, potentially, Jennifer. Not yet aware just how closely connected these cases really were. So to move forward, Turney quickly looked into Jennifer and discovered she had recently been reported missing by her ex-husband, Shawn Lannon. That name sounded familiar to Detective Turney, because just days earlier, officers had responded to a disturbing call at 817 Kingman Avenue, the same property where the remains of a tortured puppy had been uncovered. And the tenants evicted from that very house, Shawn and Jennifer.
Look at Shawn, chat. Look at Shawn. Whatever it is that they say he did, he did. Trust.
Lannon. Finally, investigators were starting to connect the dots. 3 people, all closely linked through drugs and personal relationships, had vanished within days of each other. Detective Turney realized it was time to canvass the neighborhood surrounding Shawn and Jennifer's former home, hoping a neighbor might have seen something suspicious or could offer the lead they desperately needed. That's when they found a neighbor whose security camera was pointed directly at Shawn and Jennifer's old residence. And what the investigators saw on the footage would finally bring some much-needed clarity to their case. Without this neighbor's
even
camera,
walk like a
detectives
serial killer.
might have
That's
hit
crazy.
another frustrating dead end. And it shows just how important reliable security can be, because when something happens, every second matters. That's why I partnered with Simply Safe Home Security to provide you with a trusted way to secure your own home. /insanity to Shawn's home, but investigators never see him leave. Hours later, Shawn is spotted on camera driving away in Matthew's truck.
I was about to
When
say.
he returns, he's alone, on foot, and Matthew is nowhere to be seen.
He did it.
2 days later, on January 28th, the same camera recorded someone loading household items into a red Dodge Dakota parked outside the residence and driving away. This CCTV footage marked a critical turning point for investigators. For the first time, detectives had visual proof of Matthew at Jennifer and Shawn's residence. With this significant new lead, the next step was clear. Detective Turney needed to speak directly to Shawn. Only his account could clarify
That wasn't Matthew driving that truck. It was him.
what happened that day and potentially reveal crucial details about the missing trio. The next morning, Detective Turney reached out to Shawn and agreed to sit down for a formal interview. Whatever Shawn said next had the potential to shift the direction of this case completely.
So, first things first, let's get her into this missing. Okay? Have you ever seen Matthew Miller? You know who I'm talking about? Was he over at your house?
Yeah.
It's been 4 weeks. I'm not bringing up these, but it's definitely been about weeks. Before the 3rd, was his truck ever parked at your house? For more than like a day, overnight? I'm not sure. Have you ever driven his truck? You've driven his truck? When was the last time you drove his truck?
A couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago? So, again, when did you find out that they split and took off to Arizona, ran away together, whatever?
It was 7 weeks ago. Came back every week. Come back.
Did you have anything to do with Jennifer's disappearance, Matthew's disappearance?
I don't think
Do
they felt like
you think something bad happened to Matthew and Jennifer?
I know Jennifer drug and choice used to be there when she came back with more bills than I could imagine anybody would have. She let those.
Man, I just got a really, really bad feeling about all this.
I do.
You don't seem.
I've been living in this circle for a minute.
Has she ever done this before?
Yeah.
During the interview, Detective Turney notices something strange. Shawn remains unnervingly calm,
Right.
especially considering his ex-wife and the mother of his 3 young children has just vanished.
Right.
Turney begins to question whether Shawn is simply a bystander caught up in a tragic situation or if he knows more than he's letting on. The next day, Detective Turney would get his answer, as police received an unexpected call from a man named Josh Hall. Josh was an acquaintance of Matthew Miller and claimed he'd recently witnessed something that deeply concerned him, directly related to the strange disappearances. Investigators quickly arranged for a meeting with Josh, hoping his account would finally provide the breakthrough they were looking for.
Hey man, what's going on with Matthew, man? That's my chick's cousin. Check this out, man. Check this out.
That's all me.
Check this out, man. Yesterday, alright, was at Kelly's. Right, Shawn told me to go talk to you. And I guess he had to go talk to you or something. Talk to the cops. He goes in Kelly's in the garage, stashes the bag in the ceiling. Gun, jacked his wife's IDs, some clothes, some other shit, everything. Just stashes it there. Says he had to go talk to the cops. I was there. I was there. Shawn killed all 3 of them motherfuckers, man. I'm telling you, he murked all 3 of them people, man. He's putting it off on Martha that he ran off and everything. Why in the I don't know, man. Kelly's like my sister. I know all it, you know. I killed all 3. I know he did, man. I know he did. He did, man. I'm telling you. Come on, they find the truck right by his house. You know what I'm saying? And he was throwing a trip over his, you know what I mean? Like, Martha was his chick. Martha was here.
How does he by himself get rid of the bodies?
He's a smart man.
Where time? He's kid?
Come on, how long they've been missing for? He just barely reported his wife missing. His wife's been missing since like the 23rd. Since last month, you know what I mean? She's been missing the same time Matt's been missing. And after he left and everything, went to go talk to you, Kelly went in there and opened that and everything. Strap, her IDs, some other personal stuff of hers, some clothes, and
Damn.
She wigged out. I had her with me the whole time. She was tripping. Oh. And then Danny Limos took off with it.
He was there too when it
Danny
happened?
Limos took the gun. Took the shot.
What vehicle was
Danny walking.
walking?
Yeah, he was walking. I'm telling you, man, like, he tripped me out yesterday. That's how I tied everything together yesterday when he did that. You know what I mean? Like, I know he offered them 3, man. I know he did.
Josh claims that Shawn arrived at the residence of a woman named Kelly Dodto, carrying a bag he carefully hid in the
I already knew Shawn did it. It wasn't a question about it. Once I seen his face,
ceiling of her home before leaving to speak with detectives at the police station. After Shawn left, Kelly discovered the hidden bag, removed a gun from inside, and handed it off to a man named Danny Lemos, locally known as Dog, who quickly took the weapon and left on foot. When Shawn returned and realized the bag was missing, he became visibly agitated, smashing his phone on the ground before storming out. These troubling claims raised immediate suspicion around everyone involved, including two new persons of interest, Kelly Dodto and Daniel Lemos, both closely associated with Shawn and Jennifer based on Josh's statement. Danny Lemos was nowhere to be found at the time, so Detective Turney knew he urgently needed to verify Josh's account by speaking directly with Kelly, and more importantly, find out if she was hiding anything that could help connect the dots in this increasingly tangled case.
Why every house look like a meth house, man? Every single
When
house.
investigators first arrived at Kelly's house, she agreed to meet them at the station for an interview, but refused their offer of a ride, saying her boss would bring her in about 30 minutes. However, when the time came, Kelly never showed up at the police station. It was a major red flag, and it made investigators even more suspicious of her. 2 hours later, Detective Turney returned to her house, suspecting that Kelly might be stalling for time or trying to cover something up.
She gone.
No. It's Robert, Ben. The detectives.
Hi.
Ready?
She hasn't gotten here yet. So I talked to my lawyer, and he told me that I didn't have to go with you guys.
You don't have to.
What is it about? Can you tell me?
It's about the disappearance of
Who?
Matthew Miller and Jennifer Lannon. Shawn Lannon.
Shawn is not missing.
I know he's not.
This time, Kelly's behavior was noticeably different. She appeared distraught, reluctant to cooperate, and quick to mention her lawyer. Detective Turney felt certain that she was withholding crucial information and decided to press harder.
Was Shawn here yesterday?
He came out yesterday.
How many times? What did he do?
He came inside. He told me that he had to go down and report Jennifer missing.
Did Shawn hide anything in the house that was later taken?
No.
Oh, she lying.
His phone?
Yeah, right here. I forgot. He destroyed his phone.
Did he bring a bag inside that had a gun
No.
or any of Jennifer's identification cards and hide them?
didn't see
Did he look
anything.
in it?
No, I didn't see.
Did
She
Danny
lying
almost
again.
take the gun later?
No.
Do you think he did something to Jennifer and Matthew?
I honestly don't. He doesn't seem like that type of person.
She lying
I think
again.
you're lying to me about
I'm
the
tired of
bag
her
and the
lies.
gun and Jennifer's ID.
Oh no, I don't know anything about. Like he asked me, he said, "Where's
You didn't
where's
bring
my?"
anything in.
Yeah, no, I didn't see him bring anything in.
Well, you're forgetting what I already spoke with.
I know.
Shawn has some stuff in your shed.
Yeah, he when he was moving. I don't know. I didn't question him.
Nothing yesterday?
No, I don't think so.
Have you went through it?
No.
After some more pressure, Kelly admitted she had several suspicious bags in her shed, supposedly belonging to Shawn. Curious about the contents of the bags, detectives quickly followed Kelly to take a closer look.
I'm pretty sure hot cheese. Yeah. I think that box there is not his. I don't think. I'm sure it's not. And that paint can is not his.
This one? What about this one?
That's his. That's his. Oh, did you let him off his house?
On Jackson? Really? She let us search that thing from head to toe. And outside too.
Despite their best efforts, detectives found no clear signs of blood or evidence linking back to the missing people. It was a frustrating dead end, and the chances of finding them seemed increasingly slim. At this stage, investigators had narrowed down their focus to several individuals close to the missing trio, each with conflicting stories and questionable behavior that kept detectives on edge. But without hard evidence, options were increasingly running out. Desperate for a breakthrough, Detective Turney secured a search warrant for Shawn and Jennifer's former home at 817 Kingman Avenue. Unsure exactly what or who they might encounter, officers cautiously approached the property, prepared for any potential threat. Yet again, investigators were too late. The house had already undergone extensive renovations, carpets removed, drywall stripped, any potential evidence completely
Gone.
erased. Unbeknownst to investigators at the time, the critical evidence they desperately needed was sitting in an abandoned truck, miles away, just waiting to be discovered. For now, though, every possible lead was exhausted, and Detective Turdy knew it was time for a more direct approach. So he called Shawn once more, determined to extract something, anything, that could finally lead investigators to the missing trio.
Hello?
Hey, is this Shawn?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Shawn, this is Detective Turney. How are you doing?
Good, how are you doing today?
Good, man. I've been trying to get a hold of your other number, and it's not working. So,
No, I apologize. Sorry.
so you know anything new?
No, I haven't heard anything. Nope.
Okay. Are you still around town?
No, I'm in Albuquerque.
No, we've made some progress here and there. I've got a bunch of pictures of different vehicles. I'd like you to take a look at, see if you could help me identify them.
Get time tomorrow. I wanted to come in and stuff I got to return to the school.
Okay. All right, just make sure the kids are taken care of, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks, sir.
we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks.
Shawn sounded cooperative and willing to help, promising Detective Turney he would come in for questioning. Yet, Shawn never showed up. The next day, Turney even offered to personally pick Shawn up and bring him to the station. But once again, Shawn failed to appear. At this point, Turney felt certain Shawn was deliberately stalling and knew they couldn't afford to waste any more time. He's done playing cat and mouse. With the CCTV footage and witness statements pointing directly at Shawn and Danny as crucial figures, Detective Turney knew he needed to bring them in for questioning. So investigators dug deeper into both men's backgrounds, and that's when they hit the jackpot. Shawn had an outstanding warrant for missing a court appearance related to a 2020 assault and battery charge. It was the break they needed. On February 25th, officers located Shawn in Albuquerque and arrested him without incident, transporting him directly to the Grants Police Department for questioning. Detective Turney's goals for the interview were simple: determine exactly what Shawn knew about the missing trio and find out where Danny Lemos had vanished after taking the alleged gun.
Let's go back to Matthew's truck. Okay, so it starts to back in there, and you're the last one who drove it, right? So let's go backward from when you parked it. Where did you go with it that day? Do you remember specifically?
The only places I ever traveled was one time to McDonald's. I thought that was the last day we ever used it. And I got Smith's, we got water, food, Walmart, that's it. Is there a tracker on the truck? My phone was always on, like, pull the line on it. I'm not going in the mountains. I have children. I don't have any bodies. Like, I was a medic in the Army. Like, I have 3 kids.
I don't think you're capable of doing something like this. I think
You
you're
are.
very capable of defending yourself, though. An accident happens.
If it was nice, I would be like, that's self-defense, because self-defense is peaceful, but literally, no. The biggest fear in my house, why the pistol stayed in the house, was had a dog. Like,
Yeah.
that guy scares. I'm not gonna lie about it.
Yeah.
So,
Who told you to park it there? Justin?
Justin was there at the house, talking with, like, they're all chewing on the soup.
Who's all there?
Jennifer, Justin, and
Matthew.
Matthew. And he gets a boatload of pills from him. And they're like, we're gonna go score. I mean, they had nobody, nothing.
So you take the truck and the kids.
No, they leave the truck. And literally, I'm like, well, I need to go. Like, can I get some fucking groceries or some shit?
Okay.
And literally, I'm like, what do we do with the truck? He's like, leave it. I'm like, you're not leaving the shit here? Like, no. I was like, you're not gonna park in front. No, I need to go to the dumpsters. I need to go to McDonald's for water. And,
Dude, lying.
So they told you in the house when you're
Hear me out, bro. If I'm a person without a vehicle and somebody let me use their vehicle, I'm using the dog shit out their vehicle. I'm talking about this dinner, my whip until they get back wanting this motherfucker. So you going and parking it and and doing absolutely nothing with it after you go kill him don't make sense. It don't make sense.
Done with it. To park it at the Lubbock Apartments.
Matthew wanted to park it down the street. He says, no, my buddy's over there near the apartments. Just leave it there.
As the interview continued, Shawn seemed to have an answer for everything, including the CCTV footage, claiming he only moved the truck at Matthew and Justin's request. He also appeared to casually downplay the entire incident, insisting the trio's disappearances were simply part of a drug-related business venture, nothing criminal. But Detective Turney wasn't buying it. He knew Shawn's explanation didn't match witness statements, and his earlier actions were too suspicious to ignore. But without solid proof, Turney couldn't directly refute Shawn's story. So, to move forward, Detective Turney changed tactics. He decided to deliberately introduce Danny Lemos into the conversation, offering Shawn an easy scapegoat. If Shawn took the bait, Turney might finally uncover what Shawn was hiding, or at least gain insight into what really happened to the missing trio.
Did Danny kill him?
I have no idea. I literally spent most of my time with the kids. If I had to guess who would kill him, it would be the guy saying, if I'm going to dispose of bodies, I'm going to put him in my pig. And he showed me the pig one day because I was helping him at his house.
This is... Oh, sorry.
I don't have any answers for Matthew. I don't know much about him. Talk to Dog. If someone's going to move a body and put it somewhere, my guess, the creepy dude that talks about pigs with everything but eyeballs. I'm like, who would know that? Like, this dude's... I'm scared to go. So...
What part of the human pigs don't eat? Pigs don't eat teeth. Through our quick little research. I want to know. Shit.
My kid is scared of dog. I'm scared of dog. I don't know what the fuck I'd be afraid of it. I'm ashamed of it. But we hid in the house. We didn't go anywhere. I definitely didn't leave my kids for 5 hours. Trying to find the blood for the other one.
Just as planned, the moment Danny Lemos' name came up, Shawn seized the opportunity and implicated him, pointing to Danny's violent nature and even suggesting his ability to dispose of bodies using pigs. Beyond those accusations, however, Shawn stuck to his story for the rest of the interview, denying any involvement in the disappearance. Without solid proof against him, detectives had no choice but to end their questioning. Still, Shawn wasn't completely free. His outstanding warrant for failure to appear in court meant he'd spend the next 7 days in custody, and officers immediately transported him to the local jail. Investigators spent the following week interviewing acquaintances, re-examining evidence, and piecing together scattered leads. During their interview, one detail caught Detective Turney's attention: the mysterious red Ford truck that was spotted parked outside Shawn's residence, later leaving with unknown contents loaded in the back. Investigators had not yet located this truck, and Turney strongly suspected it might hold something crucial to their case. For now, though, 3 people remained missing, and police narrowed their focus to 2 prime suspects: Shawn Lannon, who was recorded on surveillance driving Matthew's truck and potentially connected to the missing red truck, and Danny Lemos, who allegedly received a handgun connected to Shawn before disappearing himself. With each passing day, Turney grew more convinced that the missing trio had been murdered, and that their 2 prime suspects likely held the answers.
Shawn
But
did
the
it!
window to find something conclusive was quickly closing, because on on March 3rd, Shawn completed his short jail sentence and was released back onto the streets, significantly raising the stakes. Now facing the possibility of losing another prime suspect, Detective Turney knew he had to act fast. All he needed was just one single lead, some hint of where the bodies might be hidden. On March 5th, officers received a call from the security at Albuquerque's Sunport Airport about an abandoned red Ford Ranger, eerily similar to the one from surveillance footage gathered during the investigation. What officers found inside would confirm the gruesome truth they'd been searching for.
Kind of smells. Kind of smells, but I mean, not to like decomposing or anything. You know what I mean?
Why would they call the police? Usually they'll just call a tow truck or something, right? Why would they call the police?
1:30, but they said they didn't want to. They didn't want to send anybody out here.
There's a pretty foul
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Every so often, I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I can't really tell what it was. You already sound like, I couldn't really think it smelled like decomp body or something like that, but I don't know. Yeah, I can smell something, but I can't really tell what it was. It also smells like dirty, like GL almost, but yeah, I don't know. We'll check if they don't like this stuff, so.
In the back of the truck were several sealed storage bins, emitting an unmistakable smell of decay. And inside were the dismembered bodies of Jennifer Lannon, Matthew Miller, and Justin Mata. Jennifer had been shot at close range in the head. Justin had also suffered a gunshot wound to the head, along with severe blunt force injuries. And Matthew's body showed clear signs of massive head trauma, evidence he'd also been beaten to death. But the horrors didn't end there. Hidden beneath a tarp in the passenger seat was yet another body. Randall Apostolon, the truck's owner. His body showed signs of severe blunt force trauma, and a bloodied hammer found nearby was clearly the weapon used to kill him. Investigators found more disturbing evidence inside the truck. Multiple serrated knives stained with dried blood, a handsaw, and several pairs of industrial gloves, all clearly pointing to a calculated, cold-blooded murder. It was still unclear to investigators why Randall had been murdered or how his death was connected to the other three, but they wouldn't have to wait long to find out. Detectives urgently turned to the Albuquerque airport's surveillance cameras, knowing the truck hadn't driven itself there. And it didn't take long before they spotted exactly who they were looking for.
Shawn!
On March 3rd,
I already know it's
2021,
him.
just 2 days before the gruesome discovery, the airport's cameras captured Shawn Lannon driving the truck into the airport parking lot, exiting the vehicle, and leaving behind the bodies of his 4 victims. Finally, detectives found their killer. It was time to track Shawn down and bring him in. On the same day the bodies were discovered, police urgently scrambled to track down Shawn Lannon, but it was already too late. Shawn had slipped out of Albuquerque and vanished. Immediately, the U.S. Marshals issued a nationwide alert, believing Shawn posed an active threat and was possibly on a violent crime spree. Authorities across multiple states joined the manhunt to track him down before anyone else was harmed. Then, on March 9th, Detective Turner received a disturbing call. U.S. Marshals informed him that Shawn Lannon was now wanted in connection to another murder, this one committed just a day earlier in New Jersey. Authorities had linked Shawn to the murder of Michael Debkowski through witness statements and surveillance footage that placed him directly at the scene. A quick background check also revealed the victim wasn't a random target. Debkowski was someone Shawn had personally known for many years. It was an alarming detail that made it clear Shawn's violent spree was far from over. Now, with 5 bodies discovered and a serial killer on the loose, police knew.
They in the chat calling this man Bloodhound Shawn. Hey, look though. This nigga done got a matter of 5 hats in 30 minutes. See, this the story I need. Your favorite drill rapper need to be talking about right here, for real. 5 hats.
Anyone in Shawn Lannon's circle could be next, and they had to act fast. Federal authorities urgently tracked Shawn's movements, closely monitoring surveillance footage and cell phone data. And finally, on the morning of March 10th, U.S. Marshals pinpointed Shawn's location in St. Louis, Missouri, and they quickly moved in and captured him without incident. Shawn Lannon was immediately extradited back to New Jersey, finally putting an end to his killing spree. By now, the evidence against Shawn Lannon was overwhelming. Investigators had more than enough to charge him, but there were still critical questions that only Shawn could answer. They still needed to understand exactly why he committed these horrific murders and determine whether he acted alone or if others helped him carry out and conceal evidence. When Detective Turney sat down face to face with Shawn, he expected more lies and deception, but surprisingly, Shawn didn't resist or deny anything. Instead, he resigned to his fate, openly admitting he was tired of running and knew his capture was inevitable. In his own words, he simply wanted it to be over. So, with nothing left to hide, Shawn would give detectives exactly what they hoped for. A chilling, detailed account of the murders and the twisted reasons behind each one.
Sean Chapo?
Jen was already out with her. Wasn't enough to take her life. So she wanted me to make sure she went too, for sure. Because I realized she was breathing. She wasn't gonna OD. I went in the other room, psyched myself up, repeating that kind of emotionally charged statement of, "You killed the Garrison baby." So I had whatever to do it. I put the pistol on her head, and I pulled the trigger. Threw it on. A couple seconds later, I was positioned on the bed too. I put the pistol in my mouth. Put the handle up. Just slipped past my teeth. My son cried out. I was like, what do I do now? Pull the trigger, kid's gonna see both of our hands went off. I rolled off so the rounds out of the gun, put it in the dresser. Closed the bedroom door, got the kids normal, set them up to be in the other room. We didn't have a vehicle. And John's boyfriend drove in the truck on the car ride. So I pretty much slid her into a storage bin, a long one. The sheets that were around her, the bedding was in the bag, in the box too. A day later, I tried to dismember her to put her in containers. It didn't work. It was awful and traumatic. Just thinking about it. It still haunts me. I knew I was.
Nigga, you killed her. You talking about that haunts me?
I need to get my kids summer safe to cope. So I continue with packing everything up. All the while still baiting just a month. He's responsible for the drugging and doing that to my kids. It took like a week. I came to the house. So I was in the laundry room, connected to the garage. That's where I killed him. Just before I killed him, he offered up a trade. His phone had pictures of Shawn Michael standing there naked in my living room. I don't know what his name was, the boy, or Matthew Miller, whatever that his name is. With his on my son's shoulders. I was like, who sent you this picture? He's like, I don't know it's real. He's like, I took the picture. I was like, well, you took that picture. And you just admitted the guy in the picture. So, I said, there's, he was right over the van where Jim was hiding. He wanted to know if he could do a shot for it.
I ain't gonna lie. Matthew had to go. He did what? Dig him up and re-kill him again, for real. He did what? Run that back.
On my son's shoulders. I was like, who sent you this picture? He's like, I don't know it's real. He's like, I took the picture. I I was like, oh, he took that picture. And he just advanced the guy in the picture. So, I said, there it is. You know, he was right over the van where Jim was hiding. He wanted to know if he could do a shot before he took his life. So I said, well, if you find any in the vent, so he was looking down in the vent. You can see it coming. So I shot him in the back of the head. It wasn't something I was proud of. He's a pretty tall dude. I had to dismember him at some point, a day or two later. It disgusted me. That's gross. I had to work up the nerves to move the bodies. So there's so much blood. That's why I had to pull the floor up in that room. That's the only room that was, the flooring that was pulled up in the kid's bedroom. A piece of landlord never fixed the water leak. And the carpet got molded. It was unsafe. The carpet was outside the house, so was the padding if they slept for some other reason. It was still there when it left. It took 2 hours before I had enough the ability to even go near Justin.
When you got Justin over there, was this shortly after? Like how long between the time that you Jennifer, did you shoot Justin?
It was at least a week. It took a while.
Did you get him to come over?
I was baiting as if I was Jennifer on the phone.
Yeah. So you thought you was to meet Jennifer?
Yeah. I also had pictures of Daniel Lemos and my son. I never got my hands on Daniel Lemos. I fully intended. So I was heading back to New Mexico for work. Like yesterday.
Yeah, we're doing guys.
If I did, it'd be in the box. So then I had the 3 of them. Probably that kid comes over, William or Matthew, whatever his name is. Comes over with Felicity, his girlfriend. She looked like she was like 12 years old. And I should her name on the hook too. So he's like, they're looking for money for anything. I'm like, I give you a food card. I like, just take like $40. It's like, all I need is later in the week, give me a ride to get some water. And I'm in less than I want. So one of those times he came back, he didn't have Felicity. And that's when I shot him in the back of the head. I had one of his vehicles in Albuquerque. At some point he brought me the boxes that put him in the back. I couldn't open them up, I couldn't pull it. It was not money to get the vehicle, so he was gonna take the truck back, so I found somewhere else for the boxes of base, storage containers. I was gonna hold them for $150. He wanted another $300 once we got to his place. Randy wanted another $300 to hold the boxes. So I didn't have $300. So he's like, well, I'm gonna drop you back off. So we left, came back to the Pearl. The box was still in the back. Pulled in right there. We got in a fight. I killed him in the front seat. He was in the driver's seat.
Throughout his confession, Shawn remained eerily composed, showing almost no emotions. Even more chilling is the fact that just hours after dismembering the bodies and brutally killing Randall, Shawn was picked up by police on an unrelated warrant and sat across from Detective Turney, coldly denying any involvement, while a truck full of bodies was parked just a few blocks away.
Duh, he's a serial killer, you don't care.
Tuesday I took I grabbed the truck, and I didn't know what to do with it. I don't know anybody. What do you do with the body? So I wasn't trying to, I knew at some point it's going to get caught. I just want my kids back home. I took them to the airport the day before. And I positioned them. Just everything was the same. Secured the vehicle. That's not obvious. And then I took I believe it was an Uber. Took it home, right to the Pearl. The next day we flew out. I'm waiting on time. Again, at some point they'd find the bodies at the airport in the box. And last thing on my list was the man that was me as a child, my big brother. Big brothers, big sisters, or whatever. They got pictures too. Wanted the pictures back. He didn't want to give me the pictures, so I started beating him. Then he gave me the pictures. It took his life. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of it. I did finally tell them to make it back to finish Daniel Amos.
The last victim in Shawn's killing spree was his former mentor, Michael Debkowski, a man Shawn accused of abusing him during childhood and believed still had photographs of that abuse. When Debkowski refused to hand over those photographs, Shawn killed him without hesitation. But just as detectives thought they heard everything from Shawn, he would make one final, shocking statement. There were even more bodies.
Some is justified. I'm not gonna sit here and bap y'all down. Some of this stuff he got going is justified, but the way you did it was sloppy. These niggas ain't getting caught for they shit, nigga. These niggas ain't getting caught for they shit. For real. Now let me stop playing, man. Let me stop playing.
Waiting to be found.
And so the other 11, you said started about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago? And you disarmed them from guns, and you said knives?
Knives, whatever. At some point, I had like almost like a pickaxe, but it was enough to pick. It swung like a pickaxe, but...
Was like if you had to think back, like how many out of the 11 were shot and how many were stabbed? Like if you can elaborate on any of that.
2 were shot.
2. And then how many were stabbed?
Where's the rest of them? Another?
The rest of them. So 9.
According to Shawn, he'd killed at least 11 additional people, mostly drug dealers tied to Jennifer, and hidden their bodies in remote areas of Malpais National Park. Detectives approached these claims cautiously, knowing Shawn was a skilled manipulator who mixed truths with calculated lies. Perhaps this was his last attempt to influence the outcome of his trial later on. But despite extensive searches, no additional bodies were ever discovered, and Shawn's claims remained unverified. Detectives also investigated one of the key persons of interest directly implicated by Shawn himself, Danny Lemos. He was located in Albuquerque and arrested by U.S. Marshals on March 25th, 2021.
Well, the U.S. Marshals gonna
Danny
find
agreed
somebody.
to speak with Detective Turney, firmly denying any involvement and expressing shock that Shawn was even capable of these horrific crimes. He admitted taking the handgun Shawn had hidden at Kelly's house, but claimed he had no idea it was tied to a murder and had quickly sold it afterwards. After exhaustive interviews and reviewing all available evidence, detectives eventually cleared Danny, along with all other potential suspects, ultimately concluding Shawn acted entirely alone. In October 2022, Shawn pleaded guilty to the first-degree murder of Michael Debkowski in New Jersey. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison, and in May 2024, he pleaded guilty to killing Jennifer Lannon, Justin Mata, Matthew Miller, and Randall Apostolone, receiving 4 consecutive 15-year sentences. As part of his plea agreement, Shawn will serve his sentence in New Jersey first, then return to New Mexico to serve an additional 60 years behind bars.
Right. I knew that nigga did it all, though. I knew that nigga did it all, though. 95 years? Yeah, he might be dead after the first 35. I ain't gonna lie.